Okay. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. To those who are with us through Zoom and to those who are with us using FB Live, welcome to this another COVID series, coaching video series. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope we are all safe and healthy, especially this time. Okay, so our topic for this afternoon is about why do we need to tithe. So this topic is something, not a topic about religious, it's not about religious talk, not even a preaching talk. It's not also an investment talk that will talk about facts about investing in mutual funds, but it is a talk about a certain principle that has a effect to our spiritual life as well as in our financial life. So it's about why do we need to tithe. So if even if you are a Catholic or non-Catholic, whatever your religion is, we have the idea of what is tithing. But have we ever wondered why we need to tithe? Have we asked that question to ourselves? So in this talk this afternoon, we will tackle on why do we need to tithe. Okay, so before we start, let me present myself. I am Jesame Melioria Asukan. I am not a preacher, but I am a teacher by profession, teaching in Ubay National Science High School here in Bohol in the senior high school department, teaching biology and research. And I am now a senior marketing director in IMG. I am a member of IMG since 2016, but I became active in IMG in 2018. Okay, so let us start this talk about the story of the wealthy man and the beggar. And maybe most of you have known this story. So let us use this story as our basis or a base of what our talk this afternoon. So one day, a very wealthy man was walking on the road. Along the way, the beggar, he saw the beggar on the sidewalk. Okay. And then he asked, "How did you become a beggar?" Then the beggar answered with a very sad face, very pitiful. He said, "Sir, I've been applying for a job for a year now, but haven't found any. You look like a rich man. Sir, if you will give me a job, I'll stop begging." And then the rich man answered to the beggar, "I want to help you, but I won't give you a job. I'll do something better. I want you to be a business partner. Let's start a business together." Then the beggar couldn't believe what he has heard. "What do you mean, sir?" he asked. Okay, and then the rich man continuously explain himself. "I own a rice plantation. You could sell my rice in the market. I provide you with the sacks of rice. I'll pay the rent for the market stall. I even give you food allowance every day for the next 30 days. All you have to do is to sell my rice. And at the end of the month, as business partners, will share in the profits." And then the beggar answered, "Oh, sir, you are a gift from heaven." Very happy, the beggar said. "You are the answer to my prayers. Thank you, thank you, thank you." So the beggar is very happy upon what the rich man is offering to him. And then he paused for a while and think and asked this to the rich man. "Sir, how will we divide our profits? Do I keep the 10% and get the and you will get the 90%, or do I keep the 5% and you will get the 95%? I'll be happy with any arrangement that we are going to have." And then the rich man quickly answered, "No, I want you to give me the 10% and you will keep the 90%. So the beggar couldn't believe what he has heard. Oh gee, wow. I mean, huh? Is this true? And then the rich man explained, "I don't need the money, my friend. I'm already wealthy beyond what you can ever imagine. If you want me, if you want to give me the 10%, I want you to give me the 10% of your profit so you can grow in faithfulness and gratitude." And then the beggar is very happy and he said, "Yes, sir. I will do as you say. Even now, I am so grateful for what you have done for me." And then each day the beggar, now dressed like a little bit better every day, operated the store selling rice in the market. He worked very hard. He woke up early in the morning and slept late at night. And sales were brisk also because the rice was of good quality. And after 30 days, the profits were outstanding. And then at the end of the month, as the ex-beggar was counting on the money and liking very much the feeling of having money on his hands, an idea grew in his mind. He began to think, why should I give the 10% to the business partner? I didn't see him the whole month. I was the one who was working day and night for this business. I did all this work. I deserve the 100 profits. 100% of the profit. Then a few minutes later, the rich man was knocking on the door to collect the 10% of the profits. And then the beggar has been very decided and then said this to the rich man. You don't deserve the 10%. I work hard for this. I deserve all of it. Without even thinking na if hindi dahil sa rich man, hindi siya magiging ganon. He cannot be that somebody without that rich man who gave him the opportunity. Now, if you were the business partner, how would you feel? Okay, so we could think a lot of disappointing words that the rich man could feel this time. But I will pose another question. With between the two characters in the story, which character are we? Are we the wealthy man or the beggar? So I guess, and I am very sure that we are not the wealthy man. The wealthy man represents the great provider, the great creator, the Lord God Himself who provided us everything. And of course, I am very sure that we are like the beggars. God gave us everything, as in literally everything, from the single strand of your hair to the very edge of the ingrown on your foot. I like he made every fiber of your being. He gave you everything. He gave us everything. Like the opportunities, the time, the people around us, everything. And he only asked us the 10% of it. But we said, what we did do? We said that we deserve that 10%. I mean, the 100%. Now, that percentage that we are talking this time is about tithings and giving offering to God. And if we are talking about tithings, there are a lot of phrases in the Bible that talk about tithing. So in this case, I will just present two phrases in the Bible about tithing. So one from the Old Testament and the other from the New Testament. So this one is coming from the Old Testament, from the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8. It says here that, will a mere mortal rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how are we robbing you? In tithes and offering. So in the Old Testament, it was stated there very clearly, very specific, that every people should give 10% of their income back to God, to have to give back 10% to God. If you fail to do that, you are not just being generous, you are not being greedy, you are not just being greedy, but you are stealing from God. But on the other hand, on the New Testament, there is another statement. It is basically a different statement from the Old Testament. It says here that give based on how grateful you are. So it is not specified there what percentage you are giving. It's just like we are required to give based on how the Spirit lead us to give. So if that will be the case, will we give less or we give more? Okay, so most of us, most Christian, we think that the 10% is the maximum percentage that we can give as our tithings, as our offering. And maybe iba dyan, hindi pa nga nakakapagbigay ng 10%. Parang mas hindi pa na-attain yung 10% na pagbigay at tithings. But it's not like that. Most of the churches nga ngayon, they are asking not like sinkable or not requiring a certain amount, but they are just stating it as a love offering. That means you are going to give based on love. So that tithings is not the specific requirement, but just like a scaffolding of like a guide for us so that we can give more. So tithing is just like a beginning of a grateful giving. It's just like a scaffold so that we will be trained to be a giver, to be an offerer of our blessings. So um ideas about tithings. It's not new to me. I can say that I am raised from a family, a religious family. I can say it's religious family because my father is very active on the Catholic Charismatic Renewal movement. My mother is on the Catholic Women's League, and my brother is even on the seminary and was even part of the convent before. But even though these concepts about tithings were being taught and being presented to us in the family, we were not able to uh, apply it in our life. And parang nakapag-wow naman talaga na dito ko pa talaga napupush ang aking self na mag-work ng tithings dito sa IMG nung nag-active ako. Because here in IMG, it is not just a principle. It's more like a concept. And then every people as a member here in IMG, we were guided to work it out, to apply it in our life. It's more like a rule, and we call it the rule of the rule, and it's like a formula. We call it the abundance formula. So we were taught that in your income, you set aside 10% and you prioritize it first as your tithings. So you are going to give it first before anything else, even before savings. 20% for the savings and 70% for your expenses and lifestyle. So with this big notion here, I can say that I get out that notion that there is a big gap between the religious life, the spiritual life, and then the financial life. For me, there is no gap because it's already embedded in here. It is being taught that you are going to prioritize the giving of your tithes 10% here in the financial industry. So I have one I have remembered one of my friend, a daughter of a certain pastor, when I present to him the concepts about the abundance formula that we taught here in IMG. She was amazed of the concept that it's being presented in the financial industry. So there is no gap. It is embedded in the financial industry. So giving the tithings, the 10% of our portion of our income, it's not about the faith aspect. It's not about being religious. It's not also about your status of a status on the society, but it's on the skill, it's on the act of setting aside for giving. Okay, so it's just like when you are very when you put that 10%, when you are very faithful at giving that 10%, then you will be um very good also in handling your 90%. But because many of us are not serious and we do not do that 10% giving, then we have marami sa atin na hindi na ma-manage yung 90%. So maybe even maraming hindi nakapag-manage ng 90%, hindi natin nakikita, hindi natin natitrace out ano bang nangyari sa 90% natin. So if we are good on managing our 10%, then we could manage more on our 90%. Hindi tayo ma-zero out. Okay. So in that case, I remember the story of the Dead Sea. Like there are two seas, the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea. So there's are two different seas. The Sea of Galilee, it is a abundant sea, full of life, has a good vegetation, has a lot of fish in a different species. But the Dead Sea is another sea in which it has high level of salinity, walang nabubuhay sa Dead Sea. So they are different seas, but they have one source of water source, that is the river of Jordan. So even if they have one source of water, they have different characteristics. So Sea of Galilee is full of life, while Dead Sea is walang life. So bakit ganon? Kasi Sea of Galilee, it has an outlet of water for receiving, and it also have another outlet of flowing out the water. But the Dead Sea, it has only one outlet of receiving the water, but it has no outlet of giving out. It just contains the water, and the only way for the water to get out is through evaporation. So it evaporates water for approximately 7 million tons of water every day. So if you have a high level of evaporation, that gives you a high level of salinity. So therefore, wala talagang life na nabubuhay doon sa Dead Sea. So parang ganun na din sa life. Kapag wala kang binibigay, parang walang life na din. So when you cut off your flow of giving, you cut off your flow of blessing. Okay, so it's just like the law of life. You have to give in order for you to receive. Just like you try this experiment, like you only take in, breathe in, inhale. You just keep on inhaling, inhaling, and inhaling without exhaling. You will not live. It will give you discomfort. But if you inhale and exhale, it's good. Just like in time of quarantine, when we always eat, you ate a lot on the 1 week, and imagine you are just only taking in food and then you will not go to the toilet. Imagine what will happen to you. So if you take in, you give, I mean, you receive, you also give out. Okay, so it is like a law of love. You give and then you receive. And then we have to give, because if you don't give, you lose the passion of hunger and to earn more. Kasi pag ginagawa mo lang yan para sa sarili mo, wala kang pinaglalaanan, wala kang pinagbibigyan, parang nabubuhay ka lang para sa sarili mo. It will lose your passion and hunger to earn more. And then if you have something to give more, if marami kang pinaglalaan, then God will give you more blessings to earn more, so that you can earn more. I mean, you can give more rather. Okay, so what tithings does to us. So if we do tithings, it will give you the sense of accountability. Like you will be accountable of, when you start it, you will be accountable of giving it every month. And then another, it will give you the sense of discipline. Kasi we are now in the world of temptations. So you will be disciplined to do it every month. And then it will give you the sense of honesty. Like no one will test, no one will check if you are doing it every month. You will be honest to yourself that you are doing it, and it will give you the sense of diligence that you will do it constantly no matter what. And then it will give you also the sense of faithfulness and trustworthiness. Diba? Even if you have that worries that what will happen to us in the midst of crisis, if there will be other things to come in, you will still do it because you trust God that you will be receiving something out of the things that you are giving. So if you have noticed, these characteristics that we are talking are characteristics of a good managers. So giving tithes and doing tithing is just like the God's way of training us to be God's managers or God's stewards of His resources. Okay. So I hope you have understood some of the concepts that I am sharing to you. Now there are also a lot of questions that being raised about tithings, and usually this is being asked by both Sanchez, and most of the answers here were taken from the answers of both Sanchez. I have taken this from the answers of both Sanchez. One question is, where should I give my tithes? And then the answer was, you have to give your tithes to the certain community or the um, certain group that nourishes your spiritual life. Kung saan ka feel mo na yung spiritual life mo is growing and it's being nourished, doon mo ibibigay yung tithes mo. Parang sa church or sa parishes or certain community that you are in. Okay. And then another question is, should I give based on gross or should I give based on net? Okay, so there is no definite answer for this because wala namang sinasabi na ilan ang magkano ang ibibigay mo as your tithes. In the Old Testament, we are being said that you are going to give 10%, but in the Old Testament, it was said that you are going to give based on how grateful you are of what you have received. So it's either you give based on your gross or you give based on your net. So if you are like a businessman here, so you can give like from your net. But let this question be your guideline. How do you want to be blessed? Is it based on your gross or based on your net? So you give based on how you want to be blessed. Okay. The another question is, can I give my tithes to my relatives? Okay, so we have a lot of relatives who are poor and it's really needing help. But the answer was the answer given was you have to give alms and help to the poor, to your relatives, but you have to give your tithes to the community where your spiritual life is nourished, because they have to sustain their mission, and they have to sustain that nourishment of your spiritual life na ibinigay ng certain community. So iba yung para help at para sa mga tao na nag-need ng uh, help, iba din yun yung tithe. So hindi mo dapat sinasabi na marami akong mga kapatid, marami akong mga kakilala at kamag-anak na nag-need ng help, yun na lang yung pang tithes ko. So parang iba yun. Okay? So we should do tithing just like a reflex, that we don't have to push ourselves. If we are starting to do it, then we can do it like reflexes na lang natin. Kasi God has given us everything, so we are intend to give back that 10%. We should not be like the beggar who is very arrogant that he deserved that 100% and will not give that 10% to the wealthy man. So I understand that many of us are very scared about giving because we are worried of what will happen next, and we will have no money on the things that coming that we cannot control. But we should not doubt the Lord. We should not doubt His abundance. So don't be too busy on getting, so you can receive God's blessing. So, meron nga sinasabi sa Lord na, test me. On Malakay chapter 3, verse 10, He said, put me to the test, and you will see that I will open the window of heaven and put out on you an abundance of kinds and good things. So, try it out. Just like, let's say, 6 months. 6 months of giving your tithes, returning back to the Lord for 6 months, and kindly evaluate your finances. If your blessings are more than what you have given, then you have to continue doing the tithes. But if your blessing is less uh, than what you have given, then you may now stop doing it. But I'm pretty sure that God will give you a hundredfolds of what you have given, because we believe that tithes is not a burden to pay, but it is a privilege. Okay, and I can say that it's very good here that we are in the community of people who are into it. That those people who will not just talk about the concept, but they are applying it in their life. So it's a good gift that we are in a certain community, that we are applying the concepts that we are being taught to other people, because if these people are doing this, then eventually you will see yourself becoming like them. So if you want to discipline yourself about things, then be with the people who are doing it religiously and who are doing it with heart. So if you want to do it with your life, if you want to apply it with discipline, then be with people who are into it. Okay, so I would like to have a request that whoever is the person who is inviting you to be with us in this talk, please ask him or her to how can be part of this community, and you may now start being with us and enjoying the blessings of the Lord. Thank you. I hope you have learned from our talk. We still have time. We are time check 12:55. Is there any question? We see you on the next coaching videos. Thank you and have a good lunch.